I wouldn't define myself as none of that shit. For me, it's just a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, today, just chilling. I threw on this hat. Yo, shout out to Splurge. I threw these on because I got the hat on. That's just lifestyle shit. That's the shit I've been doing since I was a kid. I'm bald. I'm part of the bald man's club. So yeah, the hat is part of the fit. But I'm never gonna have sneakers without a fit or a fit without sneakers. That's just not what it is for me. Yo, can we start being honest? Not every sneaker was fire. Not every sneaker had us in a chokehold. Some sneakers didn't get they shine until they got retro. And then certain sneakers was just a moment for certain people in certain areas. Like for instance, when they did these, we wasn't doing those. We was doing this, where I'm from. And that also boils down to where you from, what was hot in your area. Today, nowadays, everybody act like everybody was doing the same thing. And that's not true. And even today, not everybody's a sneakerhead, a sneaker nerd, a hype beast. Some shit is just lifestyle. Some of us been wearing this shit so long, it just feels good to have new kicks on with new gear. It's just that simple. Yo, shout out to everybody that sent me that clip bugging out. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to butcher his name. But y'all know who I'm talking about. Homie from Breaking Bad. He reenacted the scene from Do the Right Thing. This time with the military Blue Force. That shit was fire. So many people sent me that clip. It had me thinking like, yo, damn, when the last time I seen Do the Right Thing? I'm like, yo, I'm gonna watch that shit this weekend. I'm gonna make that part of my weekend plan. I already seen Juice this week. I'm gonna watch Do the Right Thing. I'm gonna watch Fresh. I'm gonna watch Clockers. And I did New Jersey Drive already. So those 5 was just something that I needed to see and, getting that feeling. I'm gonna lock in them other 3, but the reason I bring up Do the Right Thing, because that scene with the white cement 4s is probably one of the most monumental sneaker scenes ever. People put Georgia the Jungle. That's cool, like for certain age groups, but for that time, 89, mind you, the movie was filmed in 88 and came out in 89. And if you look at the 4s that he had on, it got perforated holes at the top instead of where the mesh cage would be later on down the line. But anyway, that, Spike had the kicks early. It was a lot of kicks in that movie. Black Cement 4s was also in there. You could look on the cover and see those was in there. Radio Raheem, Air Revolution, a bunch of other forces was in the movie. But deeper than that, it was just so many topics in the movie. That shit was really like real life. That shit was just real life on screen. You know what I'm saying? For those that's not from this area and don't know how New York used to be in the summertime, I don't know if other places did it. I can't speak on that. But opening the fire hydrants, that shit, yo, any block sometimes you still could go through certain blocks in New York and see that shit to this day when it's scorching hot outside. That, if you grew up in the 80s, shit, not even the 80s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, motherfuckers was walking around with radios like Radio Raheem. Just not the big shit like people was doing in the 80s. For our era, it was the Panasonic, the little yellow joints, the compact joints, but you know what I mean? No Ideas original. Two different eras, radios outside blasting the music. One was cassettes. Back then it was CDs and shit. Well, it was cassettes for a minute, then it went into to the CDs. But the old men sitting there by the store, talking shit, drinking, that was normal hood shit. You know what I mean? The global warming, racism, all of that shit. Yo, that movie is deep. I think if you didn't see it in a while, that's something to go back and watch. It's definitely, every time, that's definitely something to go back and watch and just do the knowledge on certain things. That's what I've been doing. I be going back to the movies and looking for shit I ain't pay attention to when I was younger and I watched it, or when I watched it many other times. Like, you know, when you speak on Juice, the scene of GQ switching the kicks always come up, or Pac pulling the revolver out of the 40 Belows. Pac had pumps on in the movie. GQ had Cortez on in the movie. He had high top Air Force Ones on when they robbed the store. Like, it's a lot of other shit going on in the movies, from the gears to the car to the cameos in the background. Clockers is a ton of heat in that movie. All types of kicks, from the black CB94s, air flares, air unlimiteds, all types of shit. The Olaf shorts, the black and red canvas Air Force Ones. It was a lot of shit. Shout out to Spike for, you know what I mean, giving us that history on screen. And the bench, the Project Bench that was headquarters. You know what I mean? Like, you either sitting there talking shit, chilling with your friends, meeting girls, talking to girls. But that's where you pumped at. That was where you worked at. You know, the Project Bench plays a major part in so many of our lives that it's crazy. So yeah, go check Clockers too. Fresh. The school scenes, like the playground scenes, diamond turfs, 8s, black tops, Reebok black tops for those that don't know, Sambas, Forces. It's a bunch of shit. And then when you sit back and look at it, like, you know, Fresh wasn't on that shit. Like, his mind was somewhere else where he was stacking that money to try to get out the hood because his upbringing was different. Whereas Lil Chuck E, that bust the stupid dope moves, he wanted to put on. You know what I mean? He asked Fresh, like, yo, when you gonna let me get a job with you? You know what I mean? As soon as I start clocking that dough, I'm going to get me a couple pair of them new Nikes, the gold chain. Like, this is shit that he's saying in the movie. And look how young they was. That wasn't no far-fetched or no fairy tale shit. I know a lot of kids that I grew up with that hopped off the porch very young. Very young. Before 13, they was outside pumping because, you know, that's just how shit was for certain people at the time. That's the way the land was set up. So for me, I be having to do my little regular scouting throughout the day or every other day. And I check, you know, the sneaker pages like Z Sneakerheads, Sneaker Bars, Sneaker News, to see what's coming out. And, yo, they be disrespecting us with the Air Force Ones. Like, why would y'all give us these when we could have got these and plenty other pair? Like, why wouldn't you bring out, like, the Super Jewel, like, the shit's Prodigy had on the bench with Havoc? Y'all picked the up-tempos to come back out, which Havoc has on the bench. Why not bring back, like, the Super Jewel, whether mid or low? That's the type of shit people want. Like, all this new color shit, why not just go back to the pamphlet, pay attention to the pages and the people, and you will understand it wouldn't be so many flops that it is with certain kicks. And then you wouldn't feel as though you would have to cut back on certain sneakers because they said they were cutting back on Air Force Ones. Air Force One is definitely a sneaker that never had like no big marketing behind it. It was just, it is what it is. So for it to fall off the way it's kind of falling off, it's easy to revive that shit, honestly. It's all about bringing out the right pair. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see the right pair, people be on it. That's why, like, me and a few other people go on Nike by You and make pairs. Shit, you don't even gotta search the old catalogs. You got PG Nose, you got Soul Cuts. It's a couple other pages, but just them two pages alone, I don't have to look at any other page for Air Force Ones ever. Those two pages right there bring you back to a time and a place, and they shit from their personal collections. They got some of the sneakers that could be referenced for the mold, the shape, the color, all of that shit. They got some of them shits on deck. But we can't always get what we want. 2025 is going to be crazy. We got flight posits. We got up tempos. The foam posits is on their way back. Humaras is dropping fire colors. The SNAPBACK. Yo, I like where it's going. We starting to get some motion. You know, it's some words being spread, some speculation that we getting the Duncans back next year. All we could do is wait and see. I don't see why not. Yo, we've been going so crazy for the Duncans for the past year, maybe a little over a year, on my page anyway, right? We've been going crazy over them shits. And the feedback is so crazy that why not do it? Between the DMV, New York, and New Jersey, them shits is out of here. Like if you just cater to that region, the Duncans is gonna go crazy. And like I said, I'm not from anywhere else. I wasn't hitting the road and going other places to know what the Duncans was doing during those times, except for where I named DMV, New York, New Jersey. And when it comes to the archive shit, even though that don't mean much because everybody didn't take pictures back in the day, those areas hold the most pictures of the Duncans. Like, look at this shit here. Like, when have you ever seen a picture like this where you got all these Duncans on, and majority of the people with the Duncans on are chicks? That's the illest shit ever. That's the flyest shit ever to me. I would have lost my mind if I would have been in that club that night and seen them with all them Duncans on. That's just too fire with the Parasuco jeans on. Psst, late 90s thing, if you know, you know. And that's what I mean about the regional shit. When it come to flight posit, foam posit, total foam, anything with the posit behind it, DMV was campaigning that shit. You know what I mean? New York was fucking with it too. Bacons. That's another sneaker. DMV, New York, New Jersey area. A lot of other areas did the Bacons too. But them motherfucking Duncans, yo, we need those expeditiously, as T.I. would say. I hope y'all ready. So what I chose to do was, I wanted to bring back that feeling when you used to have the hang tag off your hat. So I made a little hang tag for the Looter's hat, which is also a sticker. Yeah, this is a sticker. You could peel this off, or you could leave it on your hat, whatever. But I wanted to restore a feeling. You know, it was a time where having the tag on the side of your hat was a thing. Crisscross, ABC, Another Bad Creation, that era, Snapback era. Yo, that shit was crazy. Crazy. You had Starter, you had American Needle, you had The Game, you had New Era. It was a lot of crazy hats back then. A lot of them. I never kept my tag on my hat, you know what I mean? But that was the thing. It had a time. A lot of people did that shit. So I just wanted to restore that feeling of the drop where it's like you get the hang tag, just something from me to you. You know what I mean? If you don't want to keep it on the hat, fuck it. It's a sticker. Put it on your laptop or just save it. But I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story about that era, right? So I used to be in Passaic County a lot because the other side of my family is from there. So my grandparents on my father's side lived over there, his brothers and sisters, and I will always be between my grandparents' house or my uncle's house, right? Two different areas and shit. My uncle's house, I used to love going over there because it was the projects, the shit was fun. My uncle was cool as hell, let me just roam, have fun. Like, he wasn't on no bullshit, never no curfew. Go outside, do what you do. I trust you until you do some bullshit, right? So my grandparents' house, it was this kid that lived on they block, down the block. Me and him was fly. He was super fly, you know what I mean? Like, that was basically who I hung with every day when I was out. It was mad other kids on the block we hung with and we played with, but me and him, we would roam crazy, you know what I mean? And nobody had more snapbacks than him. Nobody. I don't know anybody that had more snapbacks than him at the time. We was 11 years old. Yeah, because this was like around the time the Flight Hirachis was out, the white purple joints. The Jordan 7s was out because he had those. It was a bunch of shit out, but around that time, right? Around this time, snapbacks was like, you can get them between $12 and $15, depending. Mainly 15, some 20. Like them block letter shits with the block letters across the back, they used to be going for like $20. You could talk, see that mom and pop era though, you could talk them down. They'd be like, yo, what you got? What you got? Yo, I got 16. Give me 17. All right, boom. You could rock out. Depending, if you was a loyal customer, you could get it lower than that, right? So, like a few blocks from my grandparents' house, it was this store called All Court. All Court is still in Passaic, but they don't sell sneakers and hats no more. They moved down the block and they do like printing and shit like that. But same owner. Which is crazy because my father put me on to there for some printing shit. And then when I got to talking to the owner, Pablo, he was like, yo, I used to have a sneaker store up there. I'm like, yo, we used to buy mad hats out of there. So we started talking about the game hats and all that shit. But anyway, my man used to be like, yo, let's go there. I'm going to go get a new hat. And yo, we 11, so we had a little bit of clothes. We didn't have no money. We didn't have no job. We was too young to get working papers. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Is it still a thing to have working papers? Like when you turn 13 or 14? Let me know. But anyway, yo, let's say if I stay over there for 2 weeks, 14 days, out the summer, sometime I would stay the whole summer damn near over there. Go home here and there and then come back. But let's say out of a 7-day period, yo, he was buying hats 3 days out the week. And I'm sitting there, right? I guess he wanted to wait to figure out if he could trust me and tell me. But I used to be wondering, like, God damn, how does this nigga keep coming outside to have all this money? Like, I would have $5 singles, like bullshit, just to make sure I get a snack or some food, you know what I'm saying? Or sometimes my pops will pull up and he'll be like, yo, here goes some money to get some kicks or just to get through the week while you out here. You know what I'm saying? But it was never where I could just go splurge on hats like that. Then it all came out. These other kids we used to be playing with, he was going in their house and you know, back then it was like, we talking 91, 92. Drug epidemic was crazy. A lot of kids was raised by their grandparents. Their parents was just not around, or their parents was too young. They just wasn't with their parents like that, basically. So this house was just mad kids that was with their grandparents. Their parents wasn't around. Their grandmother always had a pocketbook full of money, and that's what he was doing. He was going in there and clipping the money. He told me like later on down the line, and I'm like, yo, me personally, I wasn't never into that shit, but that's how he was getting the hats. Make a long story short. But to be 11 years old and be able to back out 30 to 40 hats, that shit was crazy, yo. Any fire hat that was out at that time, he had it. And then I peeped game, like once I started going around his house, his mom would never ask because she was always at work. She wasn't around. But his uncle would pull up and be like, yo, where you getting money to get all these hats from and shit? Yo, word of spine, he had the fade with the box braids like niggas be wearing now and all that. That was the hairstyle he had back then. Yeah, we was mad cool. And it's so crazy that now when I think back, a lot of those hats right now is going for $250, $275, the shits that he had. And probably gave them shits away or just, who knows? That's how it was. We wasn't like, back then it wasn't no thinking that this shit was gonna be what it is now.